What's going on, Sky Squad? We are back in the building. And we got to talk about the Real Housewives of Atlanta. The reunion aired last night. I don't know if you got a chance to saw it. I don't know if y'all got a chance to see it, but I did. Okay. I watched it last night and well, it was late last night when I watched it. But yeah, we got to get into a couple of things here and there just about the reunion. Recapping a reunion is always a little bit of a difficult thing because there is so much happening. And because I also want to watch the show to enjoy it, I refuse to like sit down and actually take notes because that feels too much like work. And I'm not trying to work, okay, at all. But I do have some mental notes. We're going to take a look at some news, some tea that came out of the episode last night. So let's go ahead and without further ado, dive in. But first, before we do that, welcome into the room, everybody. Make sure you guys tap that like button when you come into the room. Let us know where you're watching from. What's going on, my fellow Cancer? I see you. I see you in the building. Um, yeah, go ahead and light it up. Light it on up. I see we got the DMV in the building. The DMV is in the building. All right, so let's go. Let's go. Let's get into it. You know, one of the big things that was revealed last night that kind of shocked me was the reveal of Jarvis. Okay. He was actually featured on the episode. I mean, it was just a blink and you miss it cameo, but he was there enough for people to see that the man is indeed real. We had heard from Carlos King, from Phaedra Parks, that the man is real. And so he was posted up on Kelly's Instagram last night. And, you know, I think that this was a nice little reveal for her because she had a very interesting reunion night. Okay. I don't know if she spent more time reading or if she spent more time getting read. But the good thing is she had somebody there to support her. Okay. So I am sure that despite the fact that she might have gotten read for the filth, at least she had somebody there to lean on. Okay. And so that's always got to be a good thing. So there's that. We also got this. And so Pinky did reveal that she is expecting on the show. And here's what I like about Pinky. She was just kind of like, and I'm having a baby. Like it, you know, she didn't try to make it into anything too big, but I felt like she was just saving the moment for the reunion. And I liked it. There was something so super genuine about it. Um, it was heartwarming to me. I did like that moment. But right here, I don't know. She writes Netflix documentary on how everyone announced my pregnancy before I did. Um, mm, well, she says this is all I got. And there we go. There we have it. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section down below. But congrats to Pinky Cole. I'm sure she's due in December. So this will be a great storyline for her for this season. In addition to the fact that obviously it's a real life edition, but I'm just thinking coming back into the show, she'll have something that she can obviously focus on outside of a bankruptcy. Okay. Because I don't want to hear nothing else about a bankruptcy at all. Okay. I don't want to hear about it. The way Pinky talked about bankruptcies this season, it was as though she were advertising a product of the week. It was like someone watching QVC. She's advertising it like Stacey Rush did back in her QVC days, HSN or whatever she was on. And I just don't want to hear about it no more. She had bankruptcy just looking good. You know, like, you almost want like, girl, is everybody doing it? you know? So congrats to Pinky Cole on that. All right. So let's get into the actual episode of it all. Now that we've gotten a little bit of the tea out of the way, all right. Um as we dive in, this was super funny to me because they did have a chair set off to the side, and Porsha asked, "Is there a special guest?" And Andy was like, "That is for Black." And the look on Drew's face, listen, I don't know if I'm supposed to believe in the Drew and Black romance of it all. I don't know. I don't know about it. You know, I know that she obviously was going through a divorce, so it feels to me like as I watched Drew this season that we were just giving she was giving us dating scenarios in an effort to really just check the box of, okay, I brought something to the show. This is who I'm quote unquote dating. Everybody's just a friend. And again, of course, she's going through a divorce. So I get that you probably want to be super careful about how you position yourself, given that you're in the public eye, but you gotta give just enough to keep the interest of the show and the producers and whatever demands or pressures that there could be allegedly. So that's what the Black situation seemed to me more of a result of and less to do with something authentic that's actually happening in her life. They may in fact be friends, but I just felt like that's all they might ever be, right? I didn't get the sense that there was anything serious there. So as she's like going super hard for him, with K.Michelle, and listen, I don't think that she's wrong for going hard at K.Michelle because for me, it is unexplained exactly how it's not unexplained really. The bottom line is this: we will learn in this reunion, K.Michelle believes that there were things that Drew was doing behind the scenes to try to make it seem as though Kay had some level of affiliation with Black. Okay. Now, see, the problem here is that K.Michelle reveals to us that she was living too much inside her head. Everything that I felt like I said about her in terms of as I was following the story, it turned out to be true. A lot of things were in her head. She didn't let a lot of things just play out naturally because she was so busy trying to stop them before they came out. She doesn't necessarily reveal who told her that there were monsters under the bed and that the people were out to get her, other than she made it seem as though there were bloggers who were out to get her. Okay. And some hairstylists or somebody like that. Now, listen, here's what I know. What we do know is when we first saw one of K.Michelle's first interviews, we saw her sit down with Jason Lee, who owns his own media company, and they basically talked very candidly about him getting a phone call from Phaedra Parks that basically indicated that she was just calling to ask about K. Michelle. Like, I'm sure, what is she like, right? That's what I'm surmising from the conversation, and that's what I got from the interview. Now, so for me, as I reminisce on the earlier part of the season, and I look back at K. Michelle and her talk about people who were telling her things, um, it was very interesting to me because if we know that, and she brings it up again, that there were people calling around asking about her, for which it doesn't seem unnatural for anybody to do that. But the very person that we were told was asking about her is Phaedra Parks. And she loves Phaedra. She loves her. Phaedra is good with the white folks, according to K.Michelle. Okay. Now, she was just so amazed by how all those white women loved them some Phaedra Parks. So Phaedra is good in her book because K.Michelle has a country album to sell. Now I'm not saying that's the reason why she's good with Phaedra, even though Phaedra was one of the people asking about her. I'm not saying that. I'm just making the points that K.Michelle has made, and I'm reiterating them for you. Okay? You can draw your own conclusions from this, but I'm leading you down the path that K.Michelle has so interestingly laid out for us. So as we circle back to Black, so it's mysterious to me. Phaedra Parks is off the hook, but Drew and Porsha's clearly off the hook because more than anything, I feel like K.Michelle likes Porsha. Okay, now we'll get into that in a second. We'll get there in a minute. But Drew, no ma'am. Drew feels to me a little bit lower on K.Michelle's totem pole. Okay. Whatever that pole may be, we already know Porsha's up here. Phaedra Parks is up here because Phaedra is also good with the white ladies. But Drew, nobody really knows Drew outside of the sphere of the housewives and the movies that she does. I'm assuming this is maybe what could be thought. Okay. I don't know. I'm just taking a guess. I don't know. So Drew is still on the frying pan. Okay. Her and Black. Because K.Michelle knows everything about what's going on with Black. These were things that I honestly didn't even know. And I'm sure a lot of you guys knew as well. But, for me, I keep my eyes on the show. I keep my eyes on the prize. That is what's going on in major news outlets with the specific cast members on these shows and on the show itself. Now, side characters or people that they bring in, I really don't care that much about in terms of us having to talk about them because my mind can only account for so many things. Okay. Meaning my mind automatically filters out things that are not important. And so I don't deal with them. Important to me. I'm not saying that man is not important. But what I am saying to you is this. Whatever is going on with him in the news, K.Michelle basically says, I wanted no association with that man. Okay. Because he is famous. He's rich off PayPal. And there are allegations, okay, and lawsuits out there that clearly either Drew is blithely unaware of or purposely omitting, okay? And as a result, she is defending him, okay? If I'm her, I'm defending him too because he appeared on the show for her. So it makes sense why she would be defending him to a certain degree. But even K.Michelle simply knowing who he is, to me, is not enough to make it any correlation that she had anything to do with whatever he has going on legally. Okay? Because if that were the case, then all the ladies could be offended with Drew for bringing this man around via the FaceTime, the group, and to sit with them for 3 hours. He was not enough of a story for K.Michelle to have carried a beef throughout the entirety of season 17. It still doesn't make any sense to me. So there we have it with that. Now, the question then becomes, when Drew mentioned earlier, because I'm going to go back to something, K.Michelle said it. And so I can't quite let Drew off the hook all the way because Drew's talk about her own body and what's going on with her and how, the surgery that she had, which she looks amazing. She basically says in the beginning, she's like, when talking about her booty, she's like, it ain't leaking. No. Given K.Michelle's overt like sharing, overshare, but detailed descriptions about what has happened with her own booty. I think something that Drew has mastered is the ability to poke without necessarily being seen. Now, the problem with Kay on this show and in this instance is she had not experienced visually for us, the audience, enough of that for us to really look at Drew with a side eye. But this moment here does give me a good minute to raise my eyebrow and ask myself, now I can see and I'm reminded of what Drew is potentially capable of in terms of maybe throwing a little bit of a rock and then mysteriously disappearing into the shadows when someone is hit. Okay. Because Drew is like, I was talking about my own booty. I mean, yes, it was masterful in how you delivered the shade, but it still felt like shade nonetheless because I I feel like we're kind of used to Drew having those moments of who, me? I did what to who? When you know what you said. Okay? When you know what you said. So I would just own it in that moment. Own it. For me, that would be me. Because for as much as I feel, I can't even say that. I would say own it because, listen, you're the senior person here in this argument with K.Michelle. And at the end of the day, K.Michelle is giving you enough grief that you could own that moment. And I probably would if I were you. I'm just saying, just own it. Just be like, yeah, I said it. And it's true for me, but it wasn't true for you. So it is what it is. Because as you see later on, when it comes down to when Porsha has that same opportunity with K.Michelle, she took it. Porsha and K.Michelle are going back and forth about yet another person who is really irrelevant to the show itself. And I'm sorry to you, Nosh, but you have been brought into this situation as a result of K.Michelle. And this is yet again another person who has been brought into the mix by K.Michelle, who we have not actually seen on the show. I mean, really, in terms of being filmed and being an active part of the story. We never saw that. K.Michelle brought it to us. This was either some pillow talk that Porsha allegedly had with this man that didn't occur. And she wasn't even using him for her story. And K.Michelle is married to the man. So I get K.Michelle's angst about all of these things. I do. But if you're that paranoid about dealing with this group, then don't deal with them. Like, don't do the show. That's how I feel. And I get it. I think now she can reflect on it, and I'm happy she has. But at the same time, it was so frustrating to watch. It really was. We have a super chat in the building, so I do want to acknowledge that. From Miss Lee Carter, who says, Kay has way too many elective surgeries for me to feel bad about Drew's dig. Kay has been coming at her hard for no reason, so she has to eat those reads. And here, that's the thing. Porsha does not hesitate to deliver that same punchline because when K.Michelle is sort of mimicking Porsha's tagline about I've had a lot of lives after confronting Porsha about the Nosh situation, for which Portia's like, I mean, now Porsha could have been, now, some of this could have been true. I feel like this situation with Nosh did happen. I feel like K.Michelle is not telling a lie. I feel like it did happen. Porsha doesn't really give us details about Nosh, but I don't feel like he was that significant to Porsha. I don't know. But it could have been enough for K.Michelle to give her the side eye. I'm not going to lie about that. But when it comes to the body read, the difference between Porsha and Drew is that Portia's in her face with it, right? So when K.Michelle goes in on Porsha and says, "Oh, I've had a lot of lives," and Porsha basically says, "And so has your body." Okay. So there was a lot of talk last night about body shaming. And it's interesting who is allowed to body shame who and when. If you watch the interesting dynamics amongst the ladies, um, you can definitely get a read on who's allowed to do what. Okay. Something that I thought was super interesting, and I want to know if Andy's going to do the same thing. Okay. And I feel like every time Shamia does an interview, she is forced to do this. And I need for Shamia to just put her foot down and just say, I'm not going to do that. Right. When asked about Portia's new relationship with Sway and seeing Portia, get emotional about how her mom was really accepting of Sway, Shamia, as usual, is always drawn into a conversation about either her own missteps, okay, or she's asked to speak positively about Portia, okay? Now, I don't think that's a bad thing. If they were still besties, I think it would be obviously a great thing, right? How does it feel seeing your bestie, you know, with this woman who is clearly making her happy? That's one thing. But it is always like Shamia is put in a situation where she is forced to give homage to Portia, to explain their friendship, to explain where she went wrong, to be held accountable. And to some degree, I understand it. But I just don't feel like the situation is going to be reversed. I don't think, and I could be wrong. Andy could prove me wrong, but I don't think. Now again, you could prove me wrong. Next week we got 2 more episodes to go, but I don't think this is going to happen. Shamia is asked, "Well, can you say? I mean, pretty much, can you have? Do you have something nice to say about Portia finally finding happiness with with Sway?" Now I ain't gonna lie, that package with Mama Diane, and he just was the wrong dang one. That was Chef's kiss. The editors, y'all did y'all big one on that one. I was rolling watching that. But when Andy asked her that, my immediate thought was, well, Andy, are you going to ask Portia to do the same thing when it comes to talking to Shamia about her surrogacy journey? Are you going to ask Portia about being accountable as well? Like, nobody does that. Everybody asks that of Shamia, but they never ask it of Portia. And I always, and it just occurred to me in that moment, like there's a pattern that happens. If you watch most of Shamia's interviews, watch them. She is asked those same, like similar questions, like, well, what do you think you did wrong in the Portia friendship? Well, where do you think you went wrong? Can you be accountable for this? And I get it, as people in an interview, they can ask you whatever they want to because that may be what's on their mind. But I feel like Shamia always falls into like the booby trap and is always forced to explain herself and forced to give reverence to something that is no longer in existence, which is their friendship. And I just think that it's like, can you say something nice about her? Say something nice. So it always makes her look like she is either sweating Portia, talking about her, or still pining away for the friendship, which I really feel like she at sometimes may be. The other friendship I feel like she's pining away for is K.Michelle. And I don't know why. Okay. I don't know why, Shamia. I really don't. Because you can see it as the episode is airing. Shamia's sticking up for K.Michelle. She's asking Drew, well, did you really mean it when, I mean, it sounded really bad when you said, that you weren't leaking. Let K.Michelle fight that battle on her own. She is quite adept at being able to do that. That's no disrespect to K.Michelle, but it is Shamia. This is what happens with you. You continuously put yourself in the situation and you give yourself to some of these girls, and you have got to realize that you have got to set it. This is real life, and this is for real life for everybody. And something I realized, you have got to set a standard for yourself that if people don't meet it, then you give them nothing. Okay. You cannot want friendship from people more than you want a boundary for protection for yourself. Okay. That's where you got to be at. Now, even when she did that, though, and I got to get to Angela right now because Angela, to me, I have never just wanted somebody to just shut up more in my life. Okay. It was like anytime Kelly or Shamia opened their mouth to speak to somebody else, because generally speaking, most of the people were not talking to Angela. They were talking to either Porsha or Drew. It was like there was something in Angela that just literally made her go, "Roar." She just, and I was like, girl, chill. Like you look too good to be doing this. You really do. You look too good in your dress, your hair, everything. You look too good to be acting like this. Especially, I mean, especially looking like you just trying to it to me. It felt like she was trying to win over Portia by fighting these battles. And I'm like, it's just weird. Not that I feel like Portia Portia don't need your backup. Drew don't need your backup. These aren't even serious situations right now. When Shamia asked Drew that, Drew could have either said, "No, I wasn't coming for her," and keep the same story. Or she could have been like, "Yeah, I was coming for her because she has come for me. The same way Kelly has come for me." Okay. She could have done a do-si-do, right? She could have got 1 for 2, 2 for 1. But she was not even allowed to answer the question or to respond to it because Angela's jumping in. And I'm like, girl, like, calm down. We'll get to you. We've got enough to talk about with you. All right. We've got enough. So just calm down for a second. Like these things that you're jumping in on with all of your it's almost like somebody that speaks and they put exclamation points behind every sentence. You don't need that. Like everything that comes out of your mouth doesn't have to be a read, even when they're good. Save the read for the moment somebody is coming for you, because clearly Angela has done her research. Okay. She's even coming to this with something about I guess it's a lawsuit. Somebody tagged me on it. I think I got to go back to Instagram. Somebody tagged me on it because I've been doing like a lot of research this morning. And if I can find the site that it was on, I'll put it in the comment section for you guys or in the chat. I mean, in the description. But essentially, a guy named Gary is suing her for some money that he is owed. I think it's about maybe 200 and something thousand. So I guess it was maybe in the news or Angela found the court documents. I don't know. The point is, Angela goes out and she finds all of the tea on anybody that she is going head to head with. And she's going to bring that to everybody's attention. The funniest part, though, was that Andy's like, "Who is Gary? I don't know what y'all talking about." When you get to that point, like, you got to know that you are too far in the weeds. I'm not saying that it ain't true what was happening with Kelly. I'm just simply saying you got to understand the element of finesse when you're doing this. Because Angela, you look too it to me, it's what in the Dick Tracy is going on? Like and I get it. You want to have something in your back pocket. Y'all do research on each other. But it's given like, girl, like, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe y'all like that. Um, and maybe I've just gotten too old for it. I don't know. I want to see the back and forth between Porsha and K.Michelle was probably the one of the best interactions of the reunion because what first of all, you could tell that Porsha really does genuinely like K.Michelle. You could tell that K.Michelle really genuinely wants to be friends with Porsha. That's what I believe. I believe K.Michelle wants a friendship with Porsha. Absolutely. Because I feel like most of them do, to be quite honest with you. And I get the reason. Porsha's on 3 shows last night. Ultimate Girls Trip, Watch What Happens Live. She posted on her Instagram, it's Porsha, Porsha, Porsha. I mean, it was. So I understand why you want to be friends with her. But if you and you I don't know. Just watch the interactions for yourselves. I don't know. Y'all let me know. Some of y'all like it when they drop like tea on each other like that. After a while, it gets repetitive to me. And I just kind of feel like Angela is just like, it just kind of gives me like icky vibes. Like, is that what you're doing? Like in the background, like just you're typing online, trying to find what you can find to bring it up against somebody. I don't know. Anyway, I'm trying to think if there was anything else that I missed that I really, really love. Let me go through these real quick. This interaction was really, really good. I love this. Pinky and Angela, that was nice. That was cute. Phaedra says she's running for office. Like in a Dr. Heavenly way? Like how? What you gonna do? And why didn't they show us that scene with Jasmine Crockett? That to me was so interesting. Like you would leave out Jasmine Crockett. Like y'all would have a scene with Jasmine Crockett and you're not gonna show us? You're not gonna show hold on. You're not gonna show the black people Jasmine Crockett on the Real Housewives of Atlanta? Help me. Help me make sense of that. I don't know how that ends up on the cutting room floor. Okay, here's the thing. The girls are asked reader question, like they're able to ask, like how Andy will read a question and says, "Oh, this question comes in from so and so." Let me pick somebody. This question comes in from brand new TJ 3711. And they will say, "This is the question." Well, the ladies got to do this time, and they got to ask it of each other. Shamia is asked by Angela, not Angela, by Drew. Why would you lead K.Michelle into thinking that we the girls on this show don't want you to be friends with her? Did you watch? And I'm like, Drew, did you watch the show? K.Michelle says it in her confessional. It's the candy coated clique. Like that could not be more obvious. So Shamia is forced to kind of say like, well, I'm glad you asked that, really, because it gives me an opportunity to clear this up. This was not about you. This was about, because maybe that was a misperception amongst the group, which I can understand it, because I feel like most of the group is committed to misunderstanding Shamia anyway. Not that she does the best job of defending herself, but it is what it is. But in this moment, I felt like she was ready. She's like, I'm going to let it be known that this was about Kandi, and I was actually going to go hang out with Kandi, and K.Michelle wanted to come. Kandi hangs out with basically RHUGT, Toya, and all the girls who, for whatever reason, well, we know the reason at this point, because of what had happened with K.Michelle and the man that Toya had been with. Okay? K.Michelle is absolutely 100% correct to feel how she feels about that particular situation and anybody associated with them. I get how K.Michelle could feel. I do. I get that. And she calls them the mean girls of Atlanta. Basically, Kandi and the clique. Now, while I do say that, it is easy for me to also see that there is something else true to what K.Michelle has said about herself, that she has had a hard time in friendships with women. So it is not just that she's dealing with, it is also her own PTSD with regards to relationships with women. And we saw it play out on the show, mostly in the form of, I would say, what's a good word for it? Like this anxiety and this nervousness about what they might be doing or saying or plotting behind the scenes. And it was very easy for somebody to tell her certain things about certain people and for her to believe it about certain people, but not other people, which is very interesting to me. Because at that point, it seems like you would still have your guard up about Porsha and with Phaedra. But again, I think that they're a different situation than Drew. But why Drew? Why is Drew the one that was working the hardest against you? I'm still trying to figure that out. But anyway, I also think that she has a sense of paranoia about her and doing reality TV that she has carried with her. And I just thought that that was very, very interesting to note. Another thing that I thought was super interesting to note was it was the battle between K.Michelle and Porsha, where Porsha was like, "Y'all new girls, I don't let the producers lead me in the interviews." And I was like, "Ooh, now this is good right here. Tell us more. How are the new girls being led? What are the producers doing?" I actually know how these questions are asked, but it's interesting that they're actually being like it's actually being talked about. So that was fascinating to me. Very, very fascinating. But at the end of the day, K.Michelle still does not really directly tell us who has told her this. It is just that now she won't let it bother her as much in the future. Only time will tell this, though. But we are not going to get into this until next week because apparently there's some incident that K.Michelle has been speaking about that K.Michelle suddenly does not know what she is speaking about. And I would have to wonder if that is the night in question where Shamia's mama allegedly uh, shook her tig old bitties in K.Michelle's face, looked down at her, and told her, "You best to be loyal to my daughter and not that Jezebel over there." That is what I'm allegedly. I believe that's what they're talking about. This alleged night in question. Okay, that K.Michelle has been speaking of. So we'll hear more about that next week. All right, so let's get into real quick. Kelly, Angela, and Porsha, they do have like some read-offs. Again, as I stated earlier, I feel like Kelly spent more time in this reunion getting read than actually doing as much reading as I think that she would like. Some standout moments were when Drew and her were going back and forth about their own bodies. Um, Drew told her, Kelly told Drew, "The only thing I've had done are my tickle bitties," and Drew told her, "Well, you need to get them undone." It was something about the timing of that it's just the way it rolled up and Andy cackling over the moment. It was just, I was like, "Oh, Kelly, oh, Kelly, oh, Kelly." I do have to wonder this. Every time Porsha and or Angela talk about Kelly losing her home, given what the title cards told us at the end of the last episode about Drew, I wonder if they ever feel bad for making those comments to Kelly when they know that Drew has also been going through some housing some interesting housing arrangements and changes over the past couple of months. And I noticed that like it's never like they never bring that up, right? So they're really all up in you don't have a home, you don't have a home, you're staying in Shamia's home, but they as they're saying this, I wonder if they're being at all sensitive to the fact that they're saying this and Drew is sitting right there beside them. And she's been having her own struggles with Ralph and this divorce and their home and where she's going to go and what she's going to do. So it's just very interesting to me because I feel like there's a little bit of a double standard there. Um, but it's difficult because Kelly is also kind of coming at them about their own homes, um in terms of Portia's home, in terms of whether or not Angela can sell a home. So I guess turnabout can be fair play, But I do wonder that as I'm sitting there watching them, and I think it's because they're sitting directly beside Drew that it makes me ask that question. Um, and I would imagine that I don't know how much they all make, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know. That's just interesting to me. Um, I think that was probably it with regards to the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Um, was there a moment that stood out to you guys? And see, this is what I mean. Here was the Gary of it all, and we're like, who is Gary? And so you do have to do a little deep dive to figure out who Gary is, but the information is out there. Oh, this moment right here with Drew and this, I really generally don't like a prop. In this moment, I was not too mad at it, mostly because I have long also stated that I feel like sometimes Drew spends more time acting the part of what she thinks a housewife is supposed to be than actually just genuinely being herself. Um, so to bring this out, I thought it was gonna fall flatter than maybe it actually did, but in general, I don't like a prop. I really don't. I just think that she's had too many incidences where she's had props. Y'all remember the boom box from the first season that she was on with Latoya? You remember she threw the dog bones at Fatum. It's just been like too many of these little things, and I just kind of feel like, girl, you don't need the prop. But she was doing too much. But she almost hit the right. She hit enough of a note to get a response from K.Michelle. And so I think we can allow this one. I think we can allow this one. I kind of liked it. Um yeah, I mean the way it was handled. Um and I felt like this for the most part that a lot of the girls didn't take themselves too seriously in the arguments. I do feel like the person I feel like does take it too seriously sometimes is Angela. Too seriously when it's not warranted, in my opinion. Okay, the punishment never really fits the crime in my from for me with her as of late, and so I just she. But again, that's just me. All right. Okay, so I think that's about it. Mm, K Michelle and her relationship, I don't really find. I mean, I think she has an interesting perspective on it. Um, I really don't care one way or another, to be honest with you. Happy Pride. What did y'all think? Do y'all think I missed anything? Like, did I miss anything major? Yeah, Andy did use the prop himself. Yeah, Kenya did bring out a prop, and that didn't go too well. What would you rate this first part of the reunion? CCF Freak says I give part one a 10 out of 10. I would say that I was amused and I was entertained. Um, I do understand why Andy felt the way that he felt about being, kind of like, having a good time, because I did get the sense that he was having a good time when he wasn't telling people to, like, shut it up, right? I can't hear somebody talk. Phaedra really didn't give me that much, to be honest with you. So I don't really know. I don't know what's to come with Phaedra. Obviously her and Pinky get into it next week. I'm not really sure what leads to that interaction in such a major way. A 4, Lord of mercy. 7.88, 8.5, 6.6, 6.6, 9 out of 10, 8.5, 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10. Okay. I'm not gonna go yet. We got to talk real quick about Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip and Nene coming back. Um, I Last night was super fun to me. Obviously being able to see Nene back and her infamous bag. It was just really, really nice to see. I would have loved to see some promo with Nene Leakes done for the season, but it's fine. What I thought of Ultimate Girls Trip, I don't know if you guys happened to watch it. Episode 1 premiered right after Real Housewives of Atlanta. It was good. It was kind of, okay, let me be for real honest. Everybody did exactly what I thought that they would do, right? Porsha gave fun energy. Kyle, she was cool. Luann, I'm always down for Luann because I feel like Luann is just kind of like, I feel like she's pretty authentic to who she actually is. I feel like Kyle is pretty much authentically who she actually is. Teresa is authentically who she is. Vicky is at times exactly who she is, but I think that sometimes Vicky feels to me like a caricature of herself. And what I mean by that is she has these moments where she does this like little stick like, I didn't know that I meant anything. I didn't know that. And it's like she's taking a moment from her own past and she's trying to make it into mini moments now versus just talking like a normal person. It happened with her and Tamara where she's like, "You're so mean to her," and it's just annoying to me because I feel like you don't need to do all that. Talk the same way that you do in your confessionals, because the way she talks in her confessionals is absolutely normal, and I don't need all of that to understand your snark, whether or not you want to shade Teresa, because she really shaded Teresa throughout this episode. Basically, she told Teresa that Teresa was the one who looked the most different from their first season. I mean, it was true, but she said it out loud, right? And then she reacted when Teresa was starting to open up, because we don't really hear Teresa open up that much about her bankruptcy. And I felt like Vicky was very much like, "Girl, pay your taxes, like pay your stuff." And it's like, hindsight is 2020, actually, Vicky. And I get that that's your reaction, but I just also felt like, I could get where mm, I can get both sides of the equation, but I just feel like Vicky and that voice, she's got to stop doing it. It's just annoying to me. Okay. Giselle is there to stir the pot, period. And Giselle is interesting to me in this new era because the Giselle of from seasons 1 through 6, maybe, I feel like that Giselle took herself very seriously. So she was spreading the gossip, she was spilling the tea, but I felt like she took herself very serious. Like she was still giving First Lady of the Church vibes. I feel like since about season 7 on, Giselle knows what she's there for. I am here to stir up the conversations, spill some tea. I'm going to enjoy every minute of doing it. And therefore, she feels so much lighter. Okay. Because she knows what she's there for. We know what she's there for. And she don't hesitate to do it. So when Vicky tells her, yeah, Tamara, she, my relationship with her is a little hard, and you know, Giselle is like pulling the tea out of Vicky, then goes back and has a conversation with Luann about it, then goes and tells Tamara, who then has to have a conversation with Vicky and confront her about what's going on. Okay. I like that Giselle owns that I'm going to spill the tea. I am looking for some mess. Okay. And let's get it popping. Okay. Let's get it popping. Let's do the doggone thing. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And this is what I mean. This is again the difference between like a Giselle and a Drew. Where in Giselle, yeah, I did it. This is my job. Essentially. She don't say that ever, but we know that's what she was sent to do. She was sent here for this. It would annoy me more if she did it and took it too seriously. But because I feel like she's laughing about it the entire time, I don't mind it. So it does feel, I don't know if you're talking about I don't know if you're talking about Giselle specifically, JR. So just clarify. It I will say it feels like I know it's happening. I know she's doing it on purpose. But I don't mind it because she's having fun. That's the same thing energy that I get from Porsha. Like at least the girl is having fun. I feel fun emanating from the two of them when I'm watching them on the screen. I feel fun from Luann for the most part when I'm watching her as well. You know, they still know what their moments are. They know what their beats are, but at the end of the day, I do feel like they're there for the good time of it all. Lisa Barlow feels like a little bit of a fish out of water, but I like her there because Lisa has a zaniness to her that I think adds to the mix. That kind of goes along with Teresa's energy. Teresa always feels a little nervous to me when she's speaking, as she's talking. Um, so that's always fun to watch for me to like figure out, okay, what is she trying to say right now? Um, so seeing them arrive in Orange County, I think was great. You know, they talked. You know, it was cool. The part that I kind of feel like lost me a little bit, and I got to be real, is the Orange County girls. They to me weighed this episode down. There was all this excitement over Bunko, and nobody knows what Bunko is. Like I'm not running around here playing Bunko. Is it I declare war? Okay. Is it spades, for which I'm never playing anyway? Is it is it poker? I don't know how to play that, but it seems way more popular. And I get the significance of Bunko Night because I was watching OC back then. And yes, Slay did call Vicky a Muppet, but the way Vicky is like, this Muppet comment made her go and get a facelift. Ma'am, you cannot be letting one person and they one remark that they made about you on TV, and I get it. It may have crushed her, but I'm like, is that the worst you've heard about yourself? Like, if you got a facelift, please let that be the fact that let that be about you. Okay? Don't let it be because some man that is not even in your life, that you're not dating, that ain't paying your bills, that ain't got nothing to give you. Ma'am, you have a whole insurance company. So if you want to go and get a surgery on your facial, you go get the surgery on your facial. Don't give this person so much energy. It was just a lot of energy spent on that to me. And I was just like, girl, what? So anyway, Luann is like, give me this photo. She breaks the photo and they're off on their way. Now, the Orange County girls that are there, notably, are like some of the older ones, like Gina, Joe, and of course, Tamara, Heather, and Shannon are there. I just got to be real with you. I like Tamara in general. I like her. I like her on her show, her podcast. Okay. On Housewives, what I don't like about Tamara is this. Do you see whereas Giselle is having fun stirring the pot? Okay. What Tamara does is she stirs the pot, but when she's called out, I feel like it is very much a woe is me. Okay? It is very Giselle can take her licks and keep on ticking. Say what I mean, listen, we've seen it happen. We've seen her get read down by the best of them. Candace, Monique, Wendy, Karen, all of them. Okay? Read her down. And she just sits there and still gonna do it again. I'm gonna do it again. You ain't never seen her run off and cry in the bushes. I've seen Tamara run off so many times on this show, running. They was in Bali. She got to running when Lizzie came for her. She got to running. She ran in the bushes with Gina that time. Last time it was, and I get it. I don't wish for what happened with Teddy to happen to anybody. But it is Tamara's. I'm gonna pin, okay, so much of my actions that feel very aggressive, okay, on the fact that I am suffering because my best friend is going through this battle. I'm not saying she can't have some level of psychosomatic. It may not even be psychosomatic. It could be real. I'm gonna leave it there. But what I will say is it felt like an excuse. Okay, that's the real of it. It felt like an excuse. And it always feels like an excuse with her. Like, girl, if you're going to run around and be mean to people, just be mean. Okay? Because the stuff that she is saying about Shannon is mean at this point. It's one thing. Girl, you chose to stay on the phone with her up until all wee hours of the night when she was calling you at 12 in the morning and she was drunk. You chose to do that. You didn't set a boundary. So now you are mad at her. And now at every point in time that you can think of, you bring that stuff back up again. Look, what you have to ask yourself, why would anybody consider you a friend, girl, if the moment that you get mad, every time you get mad, you spill all the tea that happened between y'all when y'all were close? No, girl. No. No. So every time you've apologized to Shannon about calling her a drunk, you just call her a drunk again. And you do that because you know that it's going to rile her up. You know it is. And then what you do is you go back and you say, well, what did I do? Oh, it was me. She came for me. Nothing Shannon said to you really, warranted. I feel like at this point in time, it is Shannon who has set up a boundary, doesn't really want to deal with Tamara. But when asked about her because Giselle is stirring the pot yet again, do y'all hate each other? I don't know. It looks like you hate each other. Y'all walk right into the trap. Y'all housewives. You should know what's happening right now. Shannon's like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this with you. Tamara's like, go, 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 go. See, but the girls don't really comfort Tamara about the things that they could comfort Tamara about. I feel like everybody kind of walks on eggshells because, as Vicky states later, they are afraid of being in battle with Tamara. And it's like, I would like Tamara better on the show if she just lived up to what she was doing, right? Yeah, I'm aggressive, I'm mean, and don't come for me then. Stay the heck back. But it can't be, I'm going to be aggressive, I'm going to say these things, I'm going to do these things, but it is I who am hurt by you. I am fragile. Girl, what? No, you can't be the villain and the victim at the same time. Okay? You're going to have to choose a role. If you chose a role and you just stayed in it, then I think people would be more accepting of what you're doing. But you can't play the role of the good girl, but also the one that's going to chop people's fingers off. It just don't make any sense. And true, just I saw a comment. I was going to react to it, but but anyway, So I felt like that aspect of the show kind of weighed it down because I felt like the Orange County girls were doing a lot of screeching. I could see why the rest of the cast was just like, "Girl, what are y'all like? Why are y'all screaming at such high decibel levels?" Like the screeching was like at an all-time high. I totally got it. Totally. I was like, "Yeah, it's too much." This episode would have benefited from the ladies have making a pit stop there and that not being the main part of the second half of the episode and them going straight into Beverly Hills. I would have cut that whole thing out because it wasn't enough of them there. Um the game night really the bunko night seemed real scarce. Like this the best y'all got? Nobody really seemed interested in bunko. So I was like, let's wrap this up. Let's wrap it up. Wrap it up. Wrap it up. Wrap it up. Okay? Just get on the bus and head to get on the bus, the limo, the chart, the charter plane, whatever it is, and head straight to Beverly Hills right now. Okay, right now. That's just my thought. Anyway, that's all we got for y'all today. I definitely went longer than I intended to. With that being said, make sure you guys keep it locked onto the channel. Thank you guys for tuning in. I really, really appreciate it. Oh, also too, really quickly, I have about 44 days before we head to Bali. We have 2 back-to-back weeks in Bali. So shout out to everybody who is going. If you guys have not joined this mailing list, I'm gonna put it in the chat. All you gotta do is enter your email. Make sure you guys do that. And you will get to know the next location. I'm going to be announcing, I think, 3 locations for 2027 in about a week or 2 via email. And the people who are on that email list will get first. Will know first, essentially. I can already tell you. When I surveyed the list and I asked y'all where y'all wanted to go, the top locations that came out, because I already sent this out to the list today, were Zanzibar, Cape Town, Thailand, and Ghana. So those were the top 4 locations. So if you are interested in going to either of those locations, definitely hop on that list so that I can get you guys the information as it comes out, because we're going to do all of them next year. So there it is. Already told you. And then I have a couple more on the list as well, but those are going to be kind of special. I know I told you guys I wanted to do like a writer's retreat, so I'm going to do maybe 2 of those, and I have some private events as well. So for those of you guys who, there have been people who have asked me to host like their private birthday celebrations in different countries. So I'm doing one of those in October of next year as well. So get on the list, shoot me an email if that's something that you are interested in also. Okay. All right. With that being said, guys, I'm about to go and hop into the pool for just a little bit to relax because it is a nice day outside. Actually, I'll take a walk and then I'll get into the pool because I need to just like chill out for a second. But I will catch you guys in the next video.